My name is Maria, and you're listening to the podcast where we deconstruct someone's PhD experience so that you can reconstruct your own. This is a journey with many challenges, but you might find yourself in a similar situation as one of the guests here. Enjoy listening. Hello, curious researchers. This is not something that you wanted to hear. What you want to hear is that when you finish your PhD and when you get your diploma, things are going to change drastically. Because you will have that PhD, you imagine that people will see you differently, and immediately your impostor syndrome is not going to exist anymore. Unfortunately, in reality, you will probably continue doing the same way that you are used to doing so far. What will change is that you will have a diploma and you will be able to put a PhD after your name, but this might bring you even more baggage to carry because now you need to defend that PhD that stands behind your name. Up until now, if you are perfectionistic and waiting to have the perfect result to show it to the world or to your supervisor or to a group or the peers, this is going to continue and it's going to haunt you even more, which is the bad news. The good news is that whatever you practice during the PhD will just continue afterwards. So if you practice getting out of this mentality of perfectionism, realizing that this is something that you are struggling with, taking a lot of time and ending up procrastinating, losing motivation, not believing yourself and losing faith and trust in yourself. The good thing is that you can work on it. You have a number of years before the end of the PhD, even months. I mean, this is really the work that can take months, can take years. The important thing is that you want to do something differently. The moment you decide you want to do something differently, it starts on that moment. It doesn't start when you get your PhD. It starts when you decide. Because to go back on the thing, why will it haunt you once you have your PhD is because if you have a perfectionistic mindset, then it's going to be even more troublesome because then you have that PhD behind your name. So it means you really have to know it, right? Because now you have a PhD. So you cannot just go out and talk whatever, let's say, quote unquote, stupid things. You have to know what you're talking about because now you are the expert. And the day before you were not the expert. Not how that works. It works as building up. And I really like when I defended my PhD, they told us, be aware of the boundaries of your knowledge. So of course you have a PhD in this one specific topic, and you are the expert in that specific topic. Yes, you absolutely are the expert because you are the person who has investigated that for years. Like if you go on a conference, you are the only one who knows in detail the specific set of circumstances in that specific area that you are working in. Yes, you are the expert. But then when they tell you be aware of the boundaries of your knowledge, is also to warn people to say you don't know everything, right? Sure, we can make conclusions, and we have the scientific method, we can discern, we can make good conclusions, but it doesn't mean that we know everything because we might be, lacking specific information that is important to make a conclusion. The bad news that is at the same time the good news is that whatever you cultivate at this moment will continue afterwards. And to illustrate on a plastic example, let's take living with your parents that you are not very in good relationships with. So you are living with your parents and you are waiting for this moment when you are going to move out of the house and not see them anymore and have your life and everything is going to be amazing because then they're out of your way. And what happens is that you are going to meet people who are going to trigger you the same way that your parents do. So the thing is that you did not eliminate the problem, you just eliminated a specific person and a specific circumstance. You did not build the resilience to deal with this situation, no matter the circumstance, no matter the person. Because one of the mishaps that can happen is that your PhD supervisor resembles one of your parents. And then you're going to be triggered like hell. And this is something that you cannot always choose. This is something that life brings to us. And sometimes life brings us lessons until we learn them. A better focus on really finding how you are going to tackle this specific situation, no matter the circumstance, no matter the person. How is your reaction going to be in that situation? Now, in 2 years from now, in 5 years from now, in 30 years from now. Because waiting to finish the PhD to start living your life is not going to serve you. If you are postponing your hobbies, if you're postponing doing what you love doing, seeing the people that you love, spending time on things you love that fill you with energy, this is going to be such a painful and draining experience. You're going to get to the end of it without any motivation, like in Serbian, we say like a drained cloth. Imagine that somebody is like totally squeezed all the water from the cloth that was once, or from the sponge that was full with water, and now it's totally drained, that there is nothing else left in it. And I can totally understand if you feel like that, because you are not the only one. But it doesn't have to be like that. And again, the bad and the good news is that you have the responsibility, and you can change that. Amazing. For me, this is good news. This is really like the best news. To go on the topic that people will see you differently just because you have a title, this illusion that we are going through this process, and only when, this person gives you a diploma and says, okay, now you have a PhD, now you are worthy of expressing your opinion. Not true. Like, you are learning the whole time. You are in the process of learning. You are in the process of getting a diploma. It's not like 0, 100%. It's loading, like when you are loading a program and installing software, it's the same. The percentage increases. You start with a low percentage, maybe not with 0. You start with a very low percentage, and then you're getting to a very high percentage towards getting a PhD title. But the most important thing with the PhD title are really the skills that you are getting. Because that piece of paper is not going to mean anything. Like that piece of paper could be fake. I'm not saying that this is the way to go, but the piece of paper doesn't mean anything. Your experience means something. And really the amount of time that you have spent working on one specific topic, dedicated, motivated, really like you were the one who was there day and night. It's like your baby, like you were waking up even when you were feeling good, even when you were feeling bad, you were still there for years and working on one specific topic, even when it seemed that there are no results, even when everything was working out well for you, even when there was nobody to support you, even when there were obstacles on the way. But you are doing this, and this is exactly the process why you are getting a PhD. Because you are capable of working and focusing by yourself on one specific topic for a number of years. You know how precious that is in today's world, where we are filled with distractions and where focus lasts 20 seconds. Precious, really precious. So if you're hoping that when you finish your PhD, you're going to go working somewhere else and hoping that another environment will be different, you leave it to the luck. Luck plays a role in everyone's life, but there is a role that we play as well. So rather than saying, okay, I'm going to avoid all the people who trigger me and not change anything on how it impacts me, it would be much healthier to say, how can I make this healthier for myself? And maybe the answer is going to be, I'm going to remove the people who trigger me. Yes, totally valid point. But make it also from the place where you decide to do so, where you are like, okay, these people really don't bring me anything good and they're just putting obstacles on the way, they're sabotaging me. But even if that happens, then you are still chill. You are like, look, there are these people. Yeah, they're not useful. So let's find another way. Rather than getting all mingled up, spending a lot of energy and a lot of focus on why is this like this and why is this happening to you, and not moving from that point. As a final message, I really want to bring through that what you cultivate during the PhD, and that will continue after the PhD. If you were a perfectionist during it, it will continue afterwards. If certain people trigger you, there is not much work, let's say inner work, done on how you are handling emotionally that, then they're going to continue triggering you in the same way. Not the same people, but the same reactions from people or same types of people. Because it's not in human nature to change overnight. It's not like somebody hands you a diploma and they are like, okay, now you can leave your perfectionism behind you. So please sign here that you are giving up perfectionism, you're giving up procrastination, and from this moment on, this is not a part of your vocabulary anymore. So I want to leave you with good hope that you can change something. Even if somebody delivers bad news, it also depends how we perceive it. I really like the term perceived stress because, for example, stress has been pointed out as something that is really bad for us and it affects a lot of things. But again, how do you measure that? Loud music is not the same level of stress for you and for me. It's really the perceived stress. So the perceived stress is really what we are carrying around us and all these triggers that we carry around us. And the good thing is that this doesn't have to be a part of us. We can change how we respond to it. It's not going to be easy. It's scary in the beginning because that's not the way how you are used to responding. But ultimately, if you see that, it's going to be for your good. And with this, I would like to invite you to join me in my program called Beyond PhD. It's a coaching program for PhDs where we work together for 4 months on a weekly basis, one-on-one, where you are bringing the things that bother you, where you are stuck, where you would like some more clarity during your PhD. You get coaching on it, and then you go out in the field and test it. And then with the feedback information, we proceed from there on. So you are making baby steps towards the place where you want to be. And why I say baby steps, it's because sometimes it's scary if things change overnight. Even though we would wish for things to change overnight, actually our bodies cannot handle it. Our mind cannot handle it. Our mind is used to thinking in one way. So people who win lottery, in very large percentage, they lose all the money because they're not used to having all this money on their bank account. So if something that drastic would change in your life, maybe it's interesting to think, how would you sabotage yourself to lose what you got overnight because you are not used to it? Or let's just think, what is it that you would like to leave behind? If I would give you today your PhD diploma and say, what are the things that you would like to leave behind now? If there was this kind of magic wand, for example, I mentioned here procrastination or perfectionism, what is it that you would like to leave behind you once you have that PhD diploma? And remember, this can happen today. It does not have to be at the end of your PhD. Good luck. Thanks for listening to this podcast episode. If there was anything that you discovered or found remotely interesting, do share. I'm always curious to hear what is it that you resonated with. See you in the next episode.